Hi, good morning. Welcome to yet another Sunday live discussion session where we invite authors to have a heart to heart talk, candid talk about their books and their literary journey. I am Antara, and today our guest is the renowned author Sabarna Roy. Now, Sabarna Roy is a qualified civil engineer and currently is working at a position of senior VP with manufacturing and constructional company in Kolkata. And he has written 6 books, but today our discussion is going to revolve around his 6th and his latest book, Etchings of the first quarter of 2020. Yes, Etchings of the first quarter of 2020 is what we are going to talk about today. With his unique style of presentation, Sabarna Roy wraps up together a collection of letters, conversations, snippets of his ideas and poems, and presents it in a form of book called Etchings of the first quarter of 2020. Yes, and this is what we are going to discuss today. I, as a reader, generally prefer to read something which would leave me with a lingering thought, something to ponder upon, or to retrospect, even long after I'm done reading that particular book. And if you are also someone like me, then Sabarna Roy's entire collection is just what you need to get your hands on. And yes, of course, Sabarna Roy's latest book, Etchings of the first quarter of 2020, is available on our online bookstore, mysecretbookshelf.co.in. So yes, please get your copy of Etchings of the first quarter of 2020. And maybe if you request, Sabarna will be sending out a personalized handwritten note to you. So let's see what goes on. So I have recently read Sabarna's Etchings of the first quarter of 2020, and then there are so many points and so many thoughts that I would like to discuss with him. And there are so many questions that I would like to ask him. So let me send him a request and let me get him join our session now, and then we can continue for the renowned author Sabarna Roy to join me today. I hope Sabarna sir is there.
Yeah.
Hello sir, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Antara.
Hello sir, thank you for joining me, and I
Yeah.
hope you are doing well.
Yeah. So far, so good. Yes.
Yes, great. So you have a very unique style of presentation of combining uh, both poetry and prose together in a book, which is something not done by many of the Indian writers so far. For example, your Random Subterranean Mosaic and your Press at Last and your latest book, Etchings of the first quarter of 2020. I lost you there, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
what I'm
I'm able to listen to you. Yeah. Please tell me.
okay, all right, great. So what I'm trying to get to is that this unique style of presentation where you combine both prose and poetry, I would like to know how deliberate is this attempt as being an author to combine prose and poetry in a book, or if this is a work of coincidence altogether.
Well, you see, since my first book,
Lost you? Yes. No, that's fine.
uh, Pentacles, uh, I have been presenting um, prose with poetry. All right. Uh, there is a reason because
Okay.
uh, Pentacles started with not the normal form of poetry, but these were actually long ballads.
Okay.
There was a novella and four or five. I'm not remembering correctly. I think there were four or five ballads, but
Okay.
they had a very similar theme. When I went to my publisher, they said that while we are agreeable to uh, publish the prose, it also took a long time convincing them to publish the prose.
Okay.
Yeah, but the point is, they were not much agreeable to publish the ballads.
Okay.
After some time, after a lot of conversation, dialogue, what happened was we were able to come to some kind of an understanding that yes, we will publish both, and let's see if this as an experiment works. Now, frankly speaking, just after the book was published, and because I was not ready to go very public in those days to market the book,
Mm-hmm.
except for telling my friends that yes, I will be um, mm, asking them, giving them the Amazon link, and they can purchase the
Okay.
books if they want to. Incidentally, unfortunately, because during my school days, I studied in a school where we had a lot of rich kids studying there. So what happened was my friends purchased a lot of books for corporate gifts. So my publisher
Okay.
got the idea that this is a kind of a format which sells. So I don't think that was a very right kind of a message because it was kind of a push selling. Uh, but somewhere down the line in 2014, when the book started doing naturally well, and Amazon wanted to fund a project to make an Audible book out of it, and
Right.
even the Audible book, which was read out by the Australian jazz singer Colin Newcomer, the Audible
Mm-hmm.
book became very popular. And in fact, this year, the Audible book for Pentacles and Winter Poems have been launched internationally. My publisher got a
That's great.
feeling that this is a kind of a format that works. So after that, Frosted Glass also had a story cycle and a poem cycle.
Right.
Uh, Abyss was a pure crime thriller. Winter Poems were pure
Right.
poetry. Random Subterranean Mosaic had a kaleidoscope of writings, including um, poems, prose, opinion pieces, and various other things. And of
Right.
course, Etchings of the first quarter of 2020 has poetry and prose both.
Yes.
So what I'm
Prose
trying
book
to
book.
say is,
Right.
it was a kind of a ploy from my side to mix these two genres which had similar kind of feel in both of them. But the point is, the publisher was not too convinced while publishing it. But the format went well. Fortunately or unfortunately, the format went well. It sold over a period of time and it is still selling now. So people have got convinced among the publishers, my publishers, that the team among my publishers, that this is a format that
This kind of
works.
format,
Yeah,
right,
this is a format that
could be
works.
explored. Hmm.
And increasingly, what one is finding is, you see, in Pentacles, you had extremely long poems or ballads. But, I'm having too many calls coming in on my phone. Sorry for that.
Um,
Uh,
that's okay. And then there is no option to switch off the calls also during live sessions.
Yeah,
So
so
even
I'm
I face
I'm
this
I'm a
problem.
bit sorry for that. So what
No,
I'm
no, that's all right.
also getting distracted while talking because of the phone calls coming. Sorry for that. Okay. So but today there is a conviction uh, uh, among the management of my publisher that this is a format that works with me, and increasingly people are sometimes people like, if you I don't know whether you have read Random Subterranean Mosaic 2012 2018. People have given me a feedback, this is the kind of book that works with us because it has 97 pieces, so three pieces we can read every night before going to bed, and within 30-40 days the entire uh,
Book is read. Yes, absolutely.
30-40 days the book is over, however fat is it is. So it works that way. Yeah.
Yes, so I think it's a very smart choice. It's my point of view, but I think it's a very smart choice to combine prose and poetry together because it also caters to the mood of the reader. Sometimes the reader might want to read a couple of, prose pieces or poetry, and it's present in one single book. Also, as you had mentioned, I think today's generation wants everything very fast, and they want to get done with things very fast. And when there is this collection of maybe compositions, they can read maybe while traveling, while commuting. They can just read a piece of poetry, and they get a satisfaction out of it that they have achieved something. So I think it's a very smart move, and I prefer it. Um, to say that as a bookseller, when I'm approached and the readers, oh, I only read poetry, and I'm like, here you go. And if someone says that no, I only read prose, and I said, oh, here you go, same book, and both the purpose are solved. So I think it's a wonderful attempt. Um, Coming back to your recent book, Etchings of the First Quarter of 2020, I have read it recently. And there are a few things that I would like to share, especially about the first letter, which blew my mind. Because it's a letter from a stepfather to a stepdaughter, and especially there is one section where the stepfather is informing his stepdaughter about seeing or bumping into her biological father, and I truly think that it's a very sentimental topic, but then it has been handled in a very graceful manner. And then the second letter where you are sharing your inputs on Novakov's Lolita, and you share you put both sides of the story, which I'll come back to later. And the third composition, which is actually a recorded conversation between, again, the stepfather and the stepdaughter, and actually it reminded me of my conversations with my father. So I think and every time even after reading, even after I was done reading, and every time these three compositions come to my mind, there is one question which arises. And since today I have this opportunity, I would like to put this question across to you and ask you that if any part of any of these compositions is influenced by any of your real life incidents.
Of course, yes. You see, I was invited to the Tata Steel Literary Meet in January 2020 on the opening day, and I was in a panel discussion which discussed the dark side of the mind. I was there the
Right.
whole day, going through various sessions, meeting various kinds
Mm.
of people, and in the end, we had a dinner for the authors at Taj Bengal,
Okay.
and after that, I returned home. And while returning home, I was thinking that how I would explain the day's exploits to my daughter. So that was the starting point of writing this book. So you can say it's a bit autobiographical in that sense. It is realistic. In fact, during the discussion on the panel that discussed the dark side on of the mind, um, there was a argument on Lolita, and the next day the compare of the discussion who moderated the
Mm.
discussion. I won't tell her name, but I wrote her
Mm.
a letter, and that is exactly the letter that is the chapter two of the novella.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
uh,
Right.
and that is exactly the letter I wrote to her. So, in that sense, it is
Wow.
absolutely autobiographical.
Right. Now, there in the blurb of the book, there is mentioned that you have explored the concept of dualism in this book, and I think I have been able to get a glimpse of it, especially on the first letter and the second letter. First letter, when you share a poem which talks about the two sides, the good and evil of an individual, and then again the second letter where you share both sides of the story, saying that maybe Humbert was the one who got exploited by young Dolores or Lolita, rather than vice versa. So and then uh, uh, so I really, and then the third composition, the third piece of prose is there, where you are sharing your snippets, your conversations with the daughter. So I really wanted to know if um, which part of this book has been um, uh, most difficult for you to write, and if there is any part from this book which has been easier for you to write, come up with the composition.
You see, it's not a question of easy or difficult, because once the idea sets in, you write in a flow. I'm a natural writer,
Okay.
so I write in a flow. But I think uh, the greatest challenge was to make the ideas lucid, because one was dealing with very intense ideas. So I wanted to be lucid, and I didn't want to write a fat book, for the simple reason that dualism as a subject would not entertain too many readers. I just
Right.
wanted to ignite the idea of dualism in the minds of the readers, of my readers, so that they can, if they want to, explore the idea later. Because you see, dualism in the world of ideas is a deep philosophical subject which was
Right.
started
Right.
by Hegel in the first part of the 18th century. All right. And then the idea of dualism was later used by various German and British philosophers. Later on, it also came into discussion with the advent of existentialism. So
Mm-hmm.
it is a very complex and a very widely
Right.
debated and a widely uh, argumented topic. For my young readers, I wanted that they should start thinking about dualism, that for every matter there is antimatter, that for every
Right.
synthesis there is antisynthesis. So these
Absolutely.
are the things which I wanted to put down. Uh, the novella is more of a teaser of the idea of dualism. So it just brushed
Exactly.
across the subject of dualism.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
of course, I mean, if you have read the Winter Poems 2020, which is a part of the
Right.
book,
Etchings.
even
Right.
there you would find that the poet and his alter ego are fighting with each other to get a breathing space through the spine chilling poems. A spine
Yes.
chilling is
Yes.
a word I
Absolutely.
used because one of my reviewers told me that most of the poems were very spine chilling to read in the first place.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And I would also like to add that I think each of your poems are a story in itself, and they come across as a human being rather than a poem narrating their entire lifetime. So I think, even though I am not a poem person myself, but I think each of your poems were like I enjoyed them thoroughly, and I'm not just saying for the sake of saying it, but I really I mean it. So coming to the next question, um, if you had to select or you had to choose any one and only one poem, and I know that you prefer writing poems and poetries mostly, and you write poems mostly. If you had to choose any one poem out of all the poems that you have written so far, either published or unpublished, which one would it be?
First of all, I would like to correct two views.
Yes, of course.
One is
Okay.
that my view is not that Humbert was exploited by Lolita.
Right, right.
My
But then
view
you are
is
drawing
that
reference from,
Humbert needs better understanding. He should
right,
not be
absolutely.
understood as only a child molester. That's my view. Okay.
Right,
So there is an extreme view that Humbert is a child molester, and there is an extreme view
right,
that Humbert was exploited by Lolita. So to that extent, my view is somewhere in between.
in
So I
between.
wanted to correct that perception first.
Thank
Secondly,
you.
it's not as if that I like writing poetry more. In fact, I
Okay.
enjoy writing conversations the most.
Oh, okay. All
Writing
right.
conversations. In fact,
Okay.
uh, I I loved writing mm, Abyss. I loved writing incomplete conversation set pieces um, where Dr. X and Mr. Y talk
Right,
between each
right.
other. So I love
Yes, yes.
even in my poems there are conversations. I use
Right.
various
Yes.
kinds of angularities um, in my poems. In fact, you would find someday that in my poem there is a newspaper ad also coming in my poem. So everything can happen within the format of a poem. But yes, we know that there is something called poetic idiom and there is something called prosaic idiom. So that is what broadly differentiates between the two formats. We know that we know when we are speaking in a poetic idiom, even using a prosaic format, or
Hmm. Right.
when we are talking in a prosaic idiom while we are writing in the poetic format. So there is no conflict between the idioms, there is a conflict between the formats, and nothing is bad or good, nothing is good or evil, nothing is better or lesser better. So the larger point what I'm trying to drive at is a writer is besotted with certain ideas and the ideas uh, and the ideas basically decide the formats, so you can't do anything about it. So you asked me to read a poem.
Choose.
I will
Right.
I will something which is very close to my heart. I will.
All right.
This is from Winter Poems.
Okay.
They forgot to put my body on fire. They forgot to put my body on fire, on freshly chopped logs of wood, on oil cracking and boiling. They forgot the charm of cotton ball plugs, the sight of wetted white petals of fecund flowers, the absent-minded twirl of smoke chains, incense sticks, the sonorous trail of holy hymns, crackling sounds of earthen pots, and above all, the communal mourning around a corpse. Instead, they hurl me down deep. Instead, they hurl me down inside a pit, laboriously excavated, dark and deep, and instantaneously covered it up with fast-setting slurry, with a sleight of hands that can be defeated only by mystic magicians at work. So I exist there, frosted miles below, from where you are waging your philosophical wars on trains against commuters struggling to reach their office on time, commissioning ecstatic cocaine soirees on yachts and rafts, executing orgies with strangers on a plane, stealing antiquity from private museums of Nauvoo billionaires. For you had told me once, I will blow up my life, indoctrinating me with the scent of your body and introducing me to the nucleus of this explosive club, Death Rattle Clan. What holds me here is an intricate web of undefined silence and darkness, so pure in form, in this marsh of soil, water, plant roots, and rotting flesh. You worry sometimes, don't you? Struggling in sleep? Do I remember your face and touch as I crossed over the perimeter of life? Do I know that your face is one among their faces? Do I remember all their faces as distinctly as I should? Do I remember our plot of blowing up our lives? Might I end up sharing it with a fellow corpse? Remembering and forgetting are complex phenomena, even otherwise, more so after you have crossed the gate. Sometimes, nowadays, I will to laugh at our words, words crafted out of beliefs, mostly non-beliefs, yet preached with so much intensity, precision, and timing, a way of time passing for all of us at this explosive club, Death Rattle Clan. So
Wonderful.
it is a twilight zone. It is somewhere between the poetic idiom and the prosaic idiom, and I think I write a lot of stuff which is in this, which falls in this twilight zone, which some people do tell me that although it is in a prosaic format, um, we are not so sure whether it is in poetic idiom, or although it is in
Or
poetic format, whether it is in prosaic idiom. So I basically want to challenge formats and idioms through selection of
absolutely.
words and images. As I told you, someday even a newspaper ad could appear in my poetry.
Absolutely. And I think I come across so many young readers who are your fans, and I think your unique style of maybe formatting or maybe, packaging the entire thing is what uh, brings the readers closer to your work. So I think absolutely, I absolutely like and admire your work, and I'm a big fan of it.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing the poem. And uh, I really want to know that you had mentioned about Abyss, which is a crime thriller play, and it has also been staged a few days back, few months back. So, and then I think in Frosted Glass there are stories, fiction-based work of fiction, and the unique thing about Frosted Glass stories are that the main character in every story bears the same name, Rahul. If I might be wrong,
No, no,
and
that's true.
and
That's true.
I think there are these unique things about each of your work, which brings the readers closer to you, and I would really like to know from you now if there are any other genre that you plan to explore in the future.
You see, I want to write deep within me. I want to write a happy, uh, uh, romantic novel. Although happiness eludes me and romance eludes me very truly, and because I'm more a fan of black humor, and I don't like happy endings because happiness has familiarity, whereas unhappiness is unfamiliar. So you need to prod. It's like unhappiness is like a crime thriller. So you need to know why somebody is unhappy. Having said that, yeah, someday I really want to write a very fat and a thick novel, but what I'm challenged with is today's attention span of readers is going down dramatically and drastically, especially in India. Well, if I was in Turkey, I would have aspired to write a very fat and a thick novel where people really love to uh, read thick novels. You see, there are places uh, where they love to watch tiny movies. Iran is a place, and Iran has discovered the language of its cinema in 90 minutes. Mostly all the classics of Iranian cinema are within 90 minutes. But there are European countries which make magnum opus, spend a lot of money in making 3 hour, 3.5 hours drama
Hmm,
movies. So what I'm saying is
right.
everything is all right, but because the attention span is going down,
Reducing.
going
Yeah.
down, and I find that my journals, which after I exposed them in my fifth book, Random Subterranean Mosaic, I found that exposing my journals would be, in fact, I was planning a book on the pandemic, which is to come after autumn 2021. So my publisher said, you must have more things written in your journal. Why don't you expose them? So we collated the entire thing, and a manuscript got made, and possibly it will come out in the first quarter of 2021. So we will have a book in the first quarter of 2021 and in the last quarter of 2021. So journals also bring, journal as a format brings the reader and the author very close, because the readers feel that we are peeping into the darkness of the author's life, something
Right.
deeply autobiographical. Because the exercise of reading a book is to know the author and to know yourself as a reader. Where do you stand? If that connection is broken, you would not read a book. If that
Right.
connection
Exactly.
is built, you would love the book. So I would definitely love to expose more of my journals, because I have been keeping my journals from very early on in my childhood, and some of them are unpublishable, of course. But yes, mm, some of them, if they're edited properly, are quite good. I'm telling it myself, and I think it gives you some idea of, because I write on everything: films, I write on political
Hmm.
events,
Right.
contemporary politics, I write on literature. So it helps you to pin. I write on places as well, food as well. So it
Okay.
helps you to know about more things in life. And today, people want to understand more in a small go. They don't want to invest much time and energy in knowing things. So I'm actually thinking of producing a few books in the future, in the immediate future, that would actually give teasers and ideas about certain deeper things beyond which, if you are interested, you can take the idea forward by reading more on that subject.
Mhm. Right. Right, absolutely. So I would like to take a moment. I can see so many comments from our viewers right now. So I'll just take a moment to read them out. Uh, so, so there is someone who is asking, why does he write poems in winter and not in summer? Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, because if somebody has gone through the heat of the summer of Kolkata, one would know that it's almost difficult to write poetry during the Kolkata summers. Yes, of course, I write prose during the summers, and um, Kolkata winters is more of temperate weather, cool, a bit chilly, breezy. So it is the ideal time for writing poetry.
Right. Now, there is someone who says you don't say ideas is right or wrong. You make it the concept of right and wrong seem flexible. That is what I appreciate most. Nothing is completely right or wrong. So
Yeah,
I think that
true.
is beautiful.
Nothing is completely right and wrong in life. Uh, the it's your own judgment of you see we one of the biggest things is that as human beings we keep on passing judgments about events and people, and
Right.
we can't avoid it because we are born with certain kind of ethics and morals and views, and we are constantly developing them because
Mhm.
uh, we are moderated by our immediate surroundings, and we can't help it. But it's true that there is absolutely nothing right and wrong, because something which was right at some point in time, things change, and today it looks wrong, and that is how civilizations move. With passage of
Yes.
time, realities change, and we have to understand that.
Right. Absolutely. So yes, absolutely. Even I believe in that. It's situational and not right and wrong. For me, something might be correct, and uh, for someone else who is in some other situation, it might be incorrect. But then, yes, of course, I totally get the concept. Um, I just want to take a moment and let our viewers know that if you have any questions for Slavana Roy or for myself, do leave a comment. I'll read them out right now. I'm going through all the comments right now, so feel free to do that. Um, and then there is Pretty Little Bibliophile who is saying, my favorite was etchings. I'm not a non-fiction kind of person generally. So in spite of being a fiction kind of person, I'm assuming she liked etchings. Legit Review is saying that we are waiting for your next release. When will you write a play again? Your play Abyss was very interesting. This is by Night Reader.
Well, I'll write a play. I think I'll write a play which will be published in 2022, because
Okay.
something is working in my mind which has to work in the format of a play, uh, because it is very conversational. In fact, let me tell you, I was in two minds to write Etchings, the novella of the Etchings, in the format of a play. But then I wanted to make the ideas characters themselves, so I dropped the format of a play and make it more into a novella of ideas. but definitely you can expect a play in 2022.
22, 22, right. So I'll take another moment and I'll let everyone know that Etchings of the first quarter of 2020 is available on our online bookstore, www.mysecretbookshelf.co.in. So visit and get your copy. And next, I just want to know, will there be an autobiography on Sabarna Roy?
No, no, no. I will not
No,
write an autobiography.
a biography rather.
No, I'll not write an autobiography. There is nothing that I have to write as an autobiography because uh, no, I will not write. There is no reason to it. I will not write autobiography.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, we come to the end of our session. But then, before I say goodbye to you, I once again I would like to know, you have already shared that there are going to be two new releases in 2021. One will be in the first part. So, is there any sneak peek that you would like to share? You have already shared, but then if anything else you would like to share about
Basically,
your.
basically the first book will be a kaleidoscope based on my journals, and the second book will be on the pandemic, on the experience of the pandemic that I have seen firsthand. And
Okay.
yes, that's about it.
Great, and I really look forward to reading your new book. And Night Reader 28 is saying that I feel you are visible in your characters, and I think that's correct, maybe. Um so thank you so much, Sabarna sir, for joining me today. And I feel so honored to have this conversation. And I wish all the best for your etchings of the first quarter of 2020 and the other five books and also the upcoming books. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
and I wish you have a good Sunday and a week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, guys, that was Savarna Roy, the author of Etchings of the first quarter of 2020. And it was wonderful having the conversation with him and to get a snippet about the author's mind, his thinking, whatever is going on in his head while composing his compositions. So thank you so much. And next Sunday, I'll be back again with another guest. And meanwhile, what you do is go to our online bookstore, browse through all the listings. Yes, of course, Etchings of the first quarter of 2020 is also available. And it's a lovely piece. It's a brilliant piece of work. And yes, of course. Bye. Take care.